Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin. Alan Ruff, Tam McManus and Hugh McDonald are here with me. We'll reflect on the weekend's Scottish Cup 4th round ties, look ahead to that 5th round draw and talk about some of the emerging stories today. Thank you very much for joining us as ever on this Monday. Don't forget, we're on Monday to Friday 4 o'clock till 5 and on the Saturday 4 o'clock till 6. Tam and myself take you through all the scores and of course reaction from managers and players as well to look forward to. Hit the subscribe button. It's uncensored, unbiased and unmatched, and it's on absolutely free to you. And if you download the PLZ Soccer app, you can get all of the news breaking at your fingertips. Simple as that. So with that in mind, if you'd like to engage with us, you can post us a message, or indeed you can engage with your fellow YouTubers. So great to have you with us, Ruffy. MBE one day, feeling a little bit poorly the next, and thankfully you're getting back to full fitness.
Yeah, certainly am. But I'll be fine. I'm okay.
We're worried about you. We were worried about you. Hugh and I.
He hasn't.
He doesn't.
He's not caring.
I phoned him. I was the first one to phone him.
Yeah, did
See if
you?
he was all right. And when he said he was all right, I was nearly crashed the motor. I was raging.
Absolutely. So we've got lots to talk about, and thank you very much to so many of you who join us on a regular basis to offer your opinion. It's really appreciated. So before we get down to the bare bones of the Scottish Cup 4th round, let's congratulate Andrew Taggart. Andrew Taggart is the winner of last week's competition, and I think Andrew will be a happy man if he's got kids there, because we've got the box of match attacks and the starter packs as well, and it's going to be absolutely fantastic. It's a great prize. Andrew, congratulations to you, and we'll get them off to you as soon as possible. Well, what about this week's competition? It's a cracker.
PLZ Soccer has teamed up with one of Scotland's leading sports artists, Gio Thompson, to give you the chance to win the signed print of Celtic star Jota. To win with the chance of winning this fantastic prize, all you have to do is answer this simple question. Which country does Jota come from? Leave your answer in the comment section below, and to double your chances of winning, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Good luck.
Oh, hey, Ruffy, how good's that?
Fantastic. I mean, we saw all Gio's stuff. They're absolutely fantastic. Doesn't matter what player it is, what team it is. Top class. Yep,
great artist. I did actually mention to him, he got me to do a little favour for him, Hugh, and he said, "Look, I'll paint anything you want." And I said to him, "Well, okay, I want a painting of my family."
No,
right? Not me and my daughter and my wife, because we have one of those.
Oh, the
I said, I want the family together.
I have to do a landscape.
Gio suddenly turned round with a few expletives and goes, "No, beat it, there's hunters at ease."
The crowd scene in Dr. Survival.
So, but he then relented, Ruff. He's doing it.
Is he? Wow.
By the way, he's fantastic.
Oh, it's great. You gave me one. I've got one standing, I think it is, in the line-up of the Scotland-Brazil game in Seville, and it's wonderful.
Yeah.
So you can see the fear in my face.
Just bowling at the start.
I was just standing at the side, wondering what was going to happen in the next 9 minutes.
I was going to do a profile one like that, as it seems I decided against it. Gio's top drawer.
He is. Very popular with a lot of people doing the paintings, and he gets the players to sign them. It's worth a few quid, that one.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is sensational. So good luck with that one, and all we are advising you to do is get yourself a double whammy. Give us the answer and hit the subscribe button, and you'll get a double chance of winning on that one. So great to have your company. We'll be reading out some of your messages. We always like a wee quiz question just to give you an answer at the end of the show. So here's today's. Which team finished second to Arsenal the last time they won the English Premier League? So there you are. Get your thoughts on that one, and see if you can give us the answer before we get to the end of the programme. Okay, here's the results from the weekend. Some people were maybe predicting the odd shock here and there. Did you pick the right one? Celtic, 5 past Morton. Killie with a late goal from Jordan Jones. Motherwell comfortable enough with Mandarin scoring the goal. Mandarin, sorry, I beg your pardon. 2-0 against Arbroath. Inverness and Queen's Park will have to play again. Dundee United confident enough to see them pass Stirling University. Partick Thistle, well, it went to penalties and the Jags managed to get through. Livingston fought back in the second half after a wee half-time team talk from David Martindale. We'll tell you about that. St Mirren, they managed to get through in penalties because Dundee couldn't actually score a penalty. So that's how that one all ended up. And the other ones, it was Falkirk by 2-1 against Alloa. Hamilton Accies knocked out Ross County in penalties. Rangers with a Borna Barisic strike, and a belter it was too. And then the Edinburgh Derby, Hearts 3-0 at Easter Road against Hibs. So tonight it's Darvel against Aberdeen. There are still some replays, still some games to be played because they were postponed, I beg your pardon. And we will talk about the 5th round draw in a moment, but let's just reflect on the games. Tam, what about your mob? I was there. I thought they played really well, and I think the scoreline flattered Hearts.
Yeah, I think the scoreline did flatter Hearts, but at the end of the day, when you're playing a derby game and a cup game, performance goes out the window. You've just got to get a result. And Hibs were, dominated a lot of the statistics. Look at possession, shots at goal, corners. They were ahead in every statistic bar the main one, which is goals, and it was 3-0 to Hearts. Hearts were clinical. Every time they went up the pitch, they didn't create a lot of chances, but even the Shankland one isn't even a chance. He manufactures it himself, a little 1-2 and a wonderful finish, and then Civic with a fantastic goal at the end. So I think there's a little glimmer of light, with the performance. I think if Hibs went out and been terrible, and you could see players had down tools, when they working hard, throwing the manager under the bus, I'd be sitting here saying, manager's got to go. But I didn't see that. I didn't see that for Hibs. I seen a lack of quality in the final third. Wrong decisions. Eli Johan had Cochrane, on toast early doors. He was drifting by him at will, and then his final pass, final cross, final shot was poor, and that happened all over the park with Hibs. And that's something that they've got to work in the training ground. They've got to get better in the final third. If they do that, then they've got an opportunity. But they've lost 14 goals in the last 5 games as well. So, and you've got Porteous probably leaving, and you've got Bashiri might have a bad injury,
broken leg.
So he's not got his troubles to seat Lee Johnson, and he's got to get into the transfer market. I thought he needed 4 or 5. He might need another centre half as well now, 2 centre halves.
Yeah, I thought McGeady was outstanding for them.
Yeah, but McGeady's at the level of Scottish Premiership. He might be 36, but he's still elite at this level. He's still got. He's still got that very quick pace.
Hugh, he could square up every player in the park and he'd go left or right. It didn't matter. He could cross it with his left, cross it with his right. He laid 2 on a plate for Josh Campbell.
You've got to remember, if you're looking back at Aidan's career, I remember one of the early performances against AC Milan, and he was up against Colaccini, and he roasted Colaccini. He just roasted him, and you went, what? So he's a terrific player out wide, no doubt about it. I just wonder with Hib's situation, and we mentioned it before, where they play him more centrally, because he's got everything. He can go by a man and all that, but he can pick out a pass as well in midfield, and it might be the man that could help calm Hibs down a wee bit in midfield, give them kind of secure possession as well. Again, though, it's 1 step forward and 3 back for Hibs, because that's the season now just down to the league, really. I saw the manager's quotes this morning. Looking for 3rd or 4th. Good luck with that one. That's like me saying I'm not going to lose the predictor.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of arithmetic. I'm going to go down here. So
it's just how quickly we go for the meal.
Aye.
Do we go for it when it's mathematically impossible for you to get back?
I think it is mathematically impossible now. Actually.
Oh well, let's go for the meal next week. As far as Hearts are concerned, listen, winning was everything according to Robbie Neilson.
I'm delighted, but ultimately, for me, it's just about beating Hibs. That's what it is. It's for the fans. With 3,500 fans here today. We all know, coming into these games, league form's out the window, cup form's out the window. It's what happens in 90 minutes, and we've managed to get it here, and it's been a while since we have won here, and it's nice to get it done.
Well, that's what it's all about, Ruffy.
Yeah.
Just winning that derby doesn't matter how you do it.
No, particularly in the opposition's ground, it's a wee bit better, but The thing I really liked about the game was I liked the atmosphere in the stadium. I thought we talk about it all the time. There was a big contingent of Hearts supporters there, and they made the game. It wasn't a great game. I don't think either of the two teams played particularly well, but it just shows you how far Hibs are behind, because Hearts didn't have to try that hard to win that game. But as Tam said, they took their chances. I think, unfortunately for Hibs, over the last 3 weeks, we've all been shouting about Nisbet, and quite rightly so. But he never turned up, they never got the goals, and they struggled.
I'll tell you one thing that really filled me full of emotion at the time, Hugh. Sadly, the week before, a Hibs fan lost his life at the game, and in the 61st minute of that match, to a man and woman, bar none, the Hearts fans and the Hibs fans all, were on their feet clapping for the man who lost his life. And it was one of those moments. It's very rare in a football match where you actually get to that, where you're filled up with emotion and think, well done, the two sets of fans.
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
We behaving like human beings.
Well, it's not difficult to behave like a human being, but I just thought en masse to see it was really emotional.
Yeah, they got very good reaction from Hibs fans and social media as well, saying that's the right way to do it, because we all get caught up in it. It's great to be caught up in the madness that is football, but it's, as Saki says, it's the most important of the least important things.
Yes.
And we
That's
should
a
always
great
remember.
quote, isn't it?
Aye, Saki's, Arrigo Saki, yep.
I mean, it's brilliant. It is, because it's only a game of football, it's only a sport. We love it, but it's not to the point of it's not more important than life or death, and it's certainly one of those things where I don't think we should lose the plot and abuse anybody. I just thought it was a great moment, Tam, honestly.
Yeah, it's good to see that. I think that obviously there's a big rivalry between the two teams, but as you're saying there, there's no life and death. It's only a game of football. At the end of the day, you forget about it, you go into your work on Monday and you go on with your life. And sadly that person lost their life, so it was great to see both sets of fans paying respect. Yeah,
what about Shanklin? Because 20 goals, okay, penalties in there. The goal he took was indicative, I think, of other chances that he's had that are not penalties. He can score goals, and he's really gone on to another level again.
Yeah, I've always liked Lawrence Shanklin. I watched him as a kid when he was at Aberdeen. He went and loaned to St Mirren, done well there. I think Ian McCall got him going. He went down there, he went part-time. I think he's a personal trainer. He lost a lot of weight, he got leaner, he got quicker. When I seen him earlier, I thought he was carrying a wee bit of weight. I think he was a yard or two short of pace, to get to the highest level. But you've got to give him credit. He sorted his cell out, wasn't anybody else. He went and done the hard yards himself. He's got his cell in great shape. He looks quick, strong, fit. And he's always been a good football player, so you're seeing that talent now and that ability because he's got the fitness. So it was a wonderful goal. It was a lovely little 1-2, and he takes a touch and he smashes it, but with the inside of his foot. It was a great finish into the bottom corner, and 20 goals. There's no many players outside the Old Firm score 20 goals in January. So if he keeps himself fit, he could hit 30 this season, and I think there'll be a lot of clubs looking for him at the end of the season. I think Celtic are obviously covered a little bit more than Rangers, but he's been heavily linked to Rangers, and I could see him scoring 30 plus for Rangers.
Yeah, the one thing is a nice little touch from Robbo, sending him a wee text. Robbo appreciates strikers. It's nice to see somebody equal his goal scoring haul from over 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, had a fantastic time there, but all good strikers, they go through wee bits of barren spells, and then people say, oh, he's off the boil and everything, but he's hot just now, and when Robbo was hot, he was there as well, and I like strikers who score goals just inside the box. I think that's what they're there for. You don't want them out wide there or wide there. Get in the box, wait for deliveries coming in, and let's see what you can do, and he's certainly doing it.
Yeah, no surprise the Hibs manager came in. I think everybody was, I asked him if he thought he'd been mugged in this one, but I don't think he was up for any kind of excuses on this.
I said to the players after the game, look, there's no excuses there today in terms of we had international caps, 93 from McGeady, Scottish international, Nisbet, like Cadden's played for Scotland, Cabraja's played for Croatia, Ellie's gone all through the sort of French national system, Jego, obviously Australian international, so like 11 v 11, they weren't a million miles off today.
Yeah, I just wonder how it will affect him now just trying to play for as high a position in the league as possible. Hugh doesn't think top, third or fourth.
No, I don't either. I don't think Hibs will be third or fourth. No, I think they'll be. I don't think they'll be anywhere near relegation, but I think they're better than that. But I think they'll be 6th, 7th. I think they'll be mid-table. I don't think there'll be any issues at either end. And I just wonder if he'll start to maybe blood a few younger players. I think there was a couple on the bench at the weekend, Laidlaw and McIntyre, who've done really well for the under-18s. So I wonder if the fans would get behind the young boys if they put them on.
The underage team has got a wee bit of pedigree about it.
They're fine. They won the league, and then they played Dortmund.
They played
Dortmund. I think they beat Molde, and I think they beat Nantes. So listen, they deserve an opportunity. The boy Laidlaw scored 11 goals in the last 13 games for the development team, so he's on the bench. You've got to reward kids that are doing well. There's got to be a pathway through, and Hibs have managed to get rid of a few players, which has maybe cleared a wee bit of space for them to get through, but there's still more that Hibs need to get rid of, and more the young boys that they can push through.
Yeah, well, I must say, we wish a speedy recovery to Rocky Bashiri. Looks as if he's picked up a bad one. I think it's a leg break, but let's hope he gets a speedy recovery back into the team. There were moments where, he did some good things. I still think Hibs need to look completely at their back line and restructure it, because that's where they're susceptible to losing games. It's clearly obvious for everyone to see, and they need that wee bit of additional quality to try and back up what McGeady has to offer. So, give us your thoughts on that. That was the derby. The cup holders Rangers did just enough with a belter of a goal, by the way, from Barisic. I mean, great fashion Sakala, but the way he finished it and the rebound was great.
Yeah, it was a good build-up, a good back heel to put him in. Super save for the goalkeeper. I just didn't think he thought that Barisic was going to get onto it as quick. I think he might have got up a wee bit quicker, because it just seemed to flash by him. So it was just a wee second, I think he was still thinking about the great save that he'd had, but it was a tremendous strike. Strike.
Of course, Michael Beale has already highlighted the injuries that they've had. Obviously, they're trying to recruit players as we speak. So he's clearly looking at the same, or more or less the same players, trying to do a job for him who are fit.
I don't feel at the moment it would help the team if I rotated too much. I don't think we're in that position of strength right now. We get a good week now into St Johnstone again at home, and then we've got a tough week away at Hearts, obviously, and then Ross County. But I think out of the 9 games since I've been back in, unless I'm mistaken, 6 have been away from Ibrox, so the schedule's not been perfect.
Well, it might not be perfect, but his team are just absolutely, for the players that he's picking on a regular basis, they're stepping up to the plate, Hugh.
Yep, and there was a lot of sticky ones as well when you look back. Hibs was a sticky one at the time, taking the lead. Aberdeen, it was incredibly dramatic game, and he's got through a 100% record bar dropping the 2 points at home to Celtic, which you'll see is dropping 2 points, given that Kyogo scored late on. So he's come through a really testing time without any bruises, shall we say. At the moment, I think we're looking to be focusing really strongly on getting people in, though, because that's got to be the way forward. Because there's so many questions over who stays at Rangers, who he wants to stay at Rangers, and there's positions where he really needs players, really needs midfield. I believe he needs a goalkeeper. I believe he needs a centre half as well, because I only think he's got one reliable centre half in Goldson, and I think he needs a winger as well.
Yeah.
And if then the big question is up top: does he rely on Kemar Roof, injury prone? Colak will get goals at a certain level, but he's had injuries. And Morelos, the great enigma. What do you do with Morelos?
Yeah, I think the other aspect of this sometimes, a lot of people talk about, a Ross Wilson or, Ben Kensel, you look at Mark Lawwell at Celtic. The bigger thing sometimes is actually how you're able to generate money from getting players off the books.
Yeah, I think Celtic have done a great job of that over the years, not just the last couple of seasons, but over the last 10, 15, they've bought low and sold high. And I think that's important, but the Rangers at the minute, they've not got anybody in their team who would go and command a massive fee. Probably their most guy we get money for would be Ryan Kent, but he's out of contract. I think he's their best player. So who did Rangers sell to generate money? There's no money there. Celtic have got tons of players that can generate money for them. So I think that Rangers need to go and strengthen. I think you can see with Beale, you can see his team. I think it's similar to Gerrard. I think they've got similar philosophies in the game. They want to high press. 4-3-3, going high press up the pitch, When Van Bronckhorst, I didn't see what he was trying to do. I don't think it was a pattern of play or a tactical edge what he was doing. So no, I think that Rangers need to try and get some quality in, because Celtic have got a serious depth in their squad. Look at the team against Morton, you know, and they rested a couple and they were still very strong. Celtic can afford to leave 4 or 5 big players out and still get a result. I don't think Rangers can.
Yeah. What about St Johnstone? Well, they made a fight of it, kept it tight for long periods in the game, and I think Callum Davison was first to acknowledge that having not a lot of fans there for St Johnstone did have an impact.
Definitely, without a doubt. I think especially the last 10-15 minutes when we're trying to put a bit of pressure on, they always help. You know, if they're on the far side, you know, they would have definitely helped us and, you know, try to pin Rangers back and try and get that goal. And I think sometimes when they weren't there, it was probably difficult. You know, it was a funny one when the game finished. It was pretty quiet.
It's a tough call, Ruffy. You know, it was a PR disaster for them, that whole thing.
Yeah, it certainly was. I think they threw it out to the supporters, and some of them might agreed the reasons for doing it. I think the only way that will satisfy them, that they've made a lot of money out of that game now. I think the manager will be champing the door and saying, right, I went along with what yous have done.
Yep.
You need to give me money. You need to give me money in this window out of the money that yous have made. And that's the only way it'll keep the supporters happy, because you just saw the crowds, you know, a lot of them were unhappy, and sometimes it's very, very difficult to get them back on board.
Yep, we shall see if they do indeed come back in any great numbers, but of course wins would always help that cause. Now 6 consecutive defeats for St Johnstone and out of the cup as well. Celtic comfortable through 5-0 in the end, but yet again, your favourite, the old handball. Ruffy is going to go crazy on it, but I might as well let you go crazy on it.
So every Monday now, it's a referee club, isn't it? Absolutely staggering that he gave that as a penalty kick. How he can go to the monitor on Sunday and VAR headquarters can say, you need to look at this is a penalty. The ball's deflected off of somebody else and up onto his hand. He knows nothing about it. And he gives a penalty kick, and there was one just after it where I thought it was a penalty, where he keeps sliding and his arm's trailing and it hits his arm, which I thought could have been a penalty, and they're not interested. So I don't know. There's some people tuning in, fans, you know, managers, players. We've not got a clue what's going on now, and it's just flick a coin up and say heads or tails, might be a penalty or no penalty. That's just the way it is now.
See, the thing as well, it was like a regression to the beginning of the season. We had this unofficial briefing that the penalty against Burnaby earlier in the season, the penalty against O'Reilly was too harsh, and you know, and after the World Cup things would settle down and it'd be more lenient. Goodness gracious! I mean, that was just a joke penalty. I mean, it's just like you just say to yourself, what are they thinking? And it's the kind of one where you see when a referee just gives it, you go, God, that was an aberration. That'd be bad enough, but you can be a wee bit forgiving if he just gives it in the heat of the moment. But you go over and look at that. For somebody to come tell him, you've got to look at this. And then you go over and look at the screen. I mean, it sucks the life out of you when you're watching that kind of stuff. It really does.
Well, not only that, but Ruffy, you know, over and above that, you get, and I have witnessed this before, you know, amount of referees sometimes go, see you pundits, see you players, see you fans, you just don't understand the rules. You know, you actually get away starting to think to yourself, I must be thick, I must be missing something here. Am I missing the real intricacies of, you know, the handball and where it is? I'm looking at that, the Effie Ambrose one, I'm thinking, you're kidding me.
I think everybody in the stadium said they're kidding me, and if you look at Dougie Imrie's face, he was thinking the same. And I thought VAR was going to help the referee, but now it's putting him in a double situation now. He's obviously thinking something, and whoever's watching the VAR is giving him something else to think about, and then they're going to make a decision. You know, so it's not making it any easier for them; it's making it harder. Yeah. This is my only explanation of how, and the only explanation is I can't remember who had the shot. But whoever had the shot, the goalkeeper had dived for that shot, but it came off the boy's boot and on Effie's hand. And the only reason I can think that they would give it was because the ball was going towards the net, because the goalkeeper was on the ground. That's the only explanation I think they can get away with. I don't think it was a penalty, not in a million.
I think they'll say as well, it was outside his natural silhouette. As they did with Burnaby, you know, they said, you know, because his arm was hanging out, it was his silhouette. But if you're standing, I mean, I just don't. If you're standing with your arms outside your natural silhouette and hits your arms, fair enough, you're done. You're hit.
Yeah.
I don't agree with it, but you're hit. But if it goes past you and then hits you on the back of the hand, coming the other way, come on.
I think I've got the perfect way to solve it all, though. I've actually been putting a lot of thought into it over the weekend, Hugh. And I think for the benefit of quite a lot of people who watch the programme now, admittedly, there will be people of a certain age who will struggle to find it on YouTube. But if you get Monty Python and the Holy Grail, the Black Knight is going through the forest.
Just a flesh wound.
It's just a flesh wound. and I think that's the only way forward for all the players.
But it's become a real... I mean, I don't want to go on about VAR, but I mean, it sucks the life out of me. See, one of the great things about doing lower league football, as I do in my Saturday jaunts away to various games, it's even a goal scored is scored.
Yeah.
Everybody can celebrate. You go up the park and go on.
That's what I don't like about VAR, Hugh.
I hate it.
At a game, you can't, even if I'm watching a game.
See, what's that?
I was watching Arsenal Man United in the winning goal yesterday for Arsenal.
It's just an incredible moment.
I didn't even react. I just went, I think that's offside.
Yeah, but
and they gave the goal, and then I thought that's offside.
Tam, see when Ginelli hit the ball into the back of the net, and there was huge cheers from the Hearts fans. When we went back to the centre spot for Hibs to kick off, there was a delay of 20 odd seconds because he's waiting for somebody to say to him, I mean, come on, just get on with it. You know?
But I go back to thinking about VAR. VAR, the only reason for bringing VAR in is it's great for television, and it's great if you're sitting, no, it's not even great, but you're sitting in front of the
It's designed for the armchair fan.
See, you're paying your 20 quid and your 30 quid and your 40 quid to get in the game.
Yeah.
You're out with the washing. I mean, I saw it, the first time I ever saw it was in Cologne. And it literally, at half time, it said there was a goal scored and Dortmund were 2-0 up. And I'm looking at the game because I'm an old didderer and they're all celebrating, so I'm just watching I don't fall, you know, I've got the stick out watching I don't fall. And I went, they've no centred. They took what I thought was a free kick there. That's no winning game. So I tell all the Dortmund fans, I'm telling them all this, and of course they're all laughing, old Egypt. Because look, scoreboard 2-0. Halfway through scoreboard, they're having your sauerkraut and your bratwurst. And you look up and they went, click, 1-0. You go, this is just done. I'm not having this. This isn't a football.
Just kills it, doesn't it? Absolutely. No surprise, Morton manager Dougie Emery not happy.
I think the first 15 minutes of the first half day, I thought we'd done really well. Had some good opportunities, just never took them, and then good old VAR kills the game. I don't know where referee's meant to put his hand, you know, it's took a deflection, he can't move his hand, but that's just what we need to live with now with VAR.
Yeah, we need to live with it. We're still arguing about it. Mick, do you remember when we talked about it in the early days when everybody, and by the way, everybody and their granny was talking about it in a positive sense, saying, yep, this is going to help the percentage of correct decisions. We did throw one little note of caution, Ruffy, I remember on this show, saying there'll still be arguments.
Yeah, but I don't think we thought there was going to be the same amount of arguments with the handball. We thought obviously offside, and we didn't like the heel being not and the finger. It's handball. If you take the handball thing out of it and rectify it and do something with it, then we wouldn't be arguing as much, because that's the only thing we're arguing about. And I think now, VAR has helped the forwards in the game inside the box, because defenders aren't defended properly. They're coming out to shut somebody down with their hands behind their back. They're no fully committing themselves into the challenge, because they think, oh, this might hit me in the hand, so I'll just sort of don't make my body large. And it's just becoming a farce now. And somebody was saying, I don't know where I read it, but they were saying Willie Collum had the best game of his life up at Arbroath because there was nobody shouting in his ear. He was just refereeing the game as he saw it. He didn't have to, any decision he made, somebody was having a bark in his ear, but maybe that's the case.
Yeah, well, we go forward with it. It doesn't matter if he's had an absolute blinder. We were using it. It's as simple as that. Of course, the news emerged later on that the Celtic player that we all thought was leaving, Josip Juranovic, had indeed joined Union Berlin, anything from 8 to 10 million. And I think Ange Postecoglou was fairly philosophical on the departure of his fullback.
He hasn't really got to the highest level till late in his career, you know, and you know, I think he just wants to maximise his opportunities. And to be honest, I agree with him. I think he needs to. That's what all of us have in our careers: a limited time, and we want to take opportunities.
I don't think he's actually overly bothered about him leaving.
No, that could actually apply to Giakoumakis as well. That could apply to Giakoumakis.
Could apply to Ange as well.
Yep, he's 28 and he's not played with enormous clubs and made big money. So when you're 28, 29, you're thinking, right, this is probably my last big move, 4 or 5 year deal somewhere on big money, and I can secure my future. And that's what he's done. And I think that's what Giakoumakis is looking to do as well.
Okay, let's pick up on what he was trying to jimmy into the conversation, and a point that I think, you know, will become relevant. My only counter to your suggestion that Ange Postecoglou might be in that zone shortly, it could be Everton, as everybody always puts 2 and 2 together and makes 4 or 5 or 6. I think he still wants one good tilt at the Champions League.
I think so too. But I thought that was really interesting, that clip. I heard it over the weekend and I thought, goodness gracious, isn't that an interesting, because you've got to look at it as well. I think he wants to now go to the Champions League because I think he was disappointed what happened in the Champions League. I think they felt he could have got better results, and he's not going to get a Champions League club, certainly in England. He might get one in some other league, who knows. So he's not going to win. I don't think, for the record, I don't think Everton will be in for him. I could be wrong in that. I think Everton at this moment in time, if they get rid of Frank Lampard, they don't need a revolution at the moment. What they need is survival at the moment.
Yeah.
Because if you go out that
Big Sam type.
And the great one is Big Sam, Mark II, Sean Dyche. He's out of job, because what you don't want Everton is you don't want a guy coming in and say, yeah, we'll play this way and we'll play this way and it's all about performance and I don't care too much about this. No. We've got to be in this league come May.
Isn't it amazing that, Tam, you and I drove past that stadium they're building? It looks awesome for Everton.
Yeah, we did. It looks, it's coming on a turn. I think at beginning of next season or the season after, it'll be ready. Fantastic, right on the docks, you know, and costing a lot of money and a lot of finance into that. And can you imagine Everton being in the Championship and moving into that stadium? It's unthinkable.
And it's not even being in the Championship. It's because you could, you know, like, see if you're doing your 5-year plan and a businessman say, oh, I've got 1 year in the Championship, you could suck that up with parachute payment. It's being in the Championship and not getting back out.
Yeah.
And people of my age will sit and tell you that big clubs in England, big clubs with great infrastructure, like your Sheffield Wednesdays, your Sunderlands, once they went out that top league,
Portsmouth,
and didn't get back up quickly, the balls burst.
Yeah, the other thing about it as well, which is, Ruffy, quite simply, that this is the only business where suddenly you can put someone in charge of 2 big clubs based on their merits as a footballer. And that's what's happened at Chelsea and at Everton with Frank Lampard. He just hasn't been able to cut it.
Yeah, but that's been the case down through the years as well. There's a lot of big footballers been thrown into jobs who weren't even ready for it. They hadn't even experienced being what it's like to be the manager. It's him because of the name. It might be him because he's the name at that particular club, and they think all the fans will get on board. But the fans will only get on board if they're winning games.
Too early for Wayne Rooney.
See to get back to Ange, he's one smart guy. He's primed all the supporters how this is going to pan out.
Yeah.
He's told them all, like, don't be upset if I let a couple of players go. So when a couple of big players go, the fans are going, well, you told us it was going to happen, so we're quite happy with that.
Yeah.
So he's a very smart, he's a very shrewd guy.
And he's got the players either in or coming in.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got 2 right backs already.
Well, he's got Oh Hyun-gyu seems to be the latest of the players from the Far East. I think it's South Korean, at 2.5 million is the latest. And I watched actually some footage of him banging in goals. I mean, to be fair, we can all put together footage of us scoring a few pearlers, but whether he's any good or not, or whether he doesn't arrive, only time will tell.
Wait, can I just add one
What?
because
You're
you
making
spoke
other points.
No, because you
Facts, no,
you
facts.
brought it.
He's not got long to go.
He's put 50
You brought it. You brought it.
50 pence in them.
Hugh, he's not got long to go.
Because
He's trying to get all the points
as you said there, you know, the fans are on board with everything. Are they on board? The only British player, the one player for Britain has come into that club in the last 2 or 3 years. Are they bothered about that?
Who?
Celtic. They're not caring. There's no youth coming through the policy now. They're not interested in, you know, any British players or anything.
Well,
They seem to have found a marker that they want, and he's not going to budge for it
Well,
for
I'll tell you
anybody.
something. The only thing I would say in defence of him, and in defence of whether it was Michael Beale or anyone else right now, is quite simply Celtic and Rangers are realising they cannot compete with England. As most of the Europe is realising, they cannot compete with England because they're just buying all the really top players. So then they say to themselves, well, if we're even going to get to a group stage and then a knockout stage of the Champions League, we're going to have to punch above our weight and try and steal players that they just can't get at the moment. That's it in a nutshell, Hugh, isn't it?
Well, absolutely. And the thing about youth as well, the youth thing is kind of a combination of things. One, I think Celtic's youth policies work really well. I mean, people could be shocked at that, but over the years, they've had Tierney, McGregor, Forrest, Welsh, Ralston. You know, they've sold on players like Ewan Henderson, Montgomery's up at St Johnstone. That's quite a good. I mean, if you take Tierney alone at 25 million, that pays a lot of academy budget over the years.
Yeah.
But the other problem, which is a new one, is you're losing your youth players now. Celtic and Rangers are losing youth players.
Ben Doak.
Doak's away to Liverpool. Everybody's talking about him now. Well, he's on the Liverpool bench. He's getting games. I mean, and Klopp's not doing that because he wants to keep in with Ben Doak's family or something like that. He's doing that because he's earned the right to do it. There's boys at Bayern Munich from Celtic as well. So it's hugely difficult, I think. I think you just got to. I think the bottom line is you just got to shop where you can afford to shop. It's simple as that.
Yeah. Okay. Other games. Dundee United 3, University of Stirling 0. There was a nice little overhead kick from Jamie McGrath in this one.
Yeah, it was. University of Stirling, they started well, you know, and we're keeping them at bay, but a bit of class from McGrath, and then they won the game comfortably in the end.
Yeah, and the Dundee United manager was well aware. 1, 2, 3 goals. As soon as they got them, it kind of silenced any possibility of the crowd getting up for a shock.
You could hear the crowd. They were cheering every time we misplaced a pass, every time the ball went out of play. So we had to kind of manage that a wee bit. I still felt we were in control of the game without really working our keeper enough. Aziz has a moment of quality, which he has, and then that settles everybody down at half time. And then I thought second half, I thought we were good.
Well, great credit to University of Stirling. 3-0 is no disgrace against the Premier League side. And over and above that, I think even Chris Geddes, their manager, was happy. They gave a good account of themselves.
There's worse strikers in the Premier League this year not going to get as much joy as Big Ben did today. Do you know what I mean? And that's a fact. I don't care if I sound silly. Held them off, linked us, won flick-ons. Like I say, there's Premier League strikers who don't get that joy against that calibre of players. And I think, considering we had a game midweek, the fitness levels were outstanding.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the boys will go away with tremendous credit from that, Tam.
Yep, great experience for them, and you never know, there might be a few scouts at the game, you know, keeping an eye on some of their players.
Yeah.
Most of them are all young players, and you get them for relatively cheap, doing well in the Lowland League as well, so not only did they do themselves proud, but they might have done themselves good for their future career.
Yeah, what about your boys, Ruffy? It took penalties.
It did. The highlight for me was a save Jamie Snedden had.
The belter, wasn't it?
Oh, unbelievable! Just a reflex save, putting your hand out.
You told me you'd have held it.
No. But I think Dunfermline would be kicking himself. That miss in the last minute of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, it was easier to put in the back of the net. But no, they battled well. I think Thistle -3. That Ross Docherty wasn't playing, Brian Graham wasn't playing. Big players for the team. So no, I think Colley would just be happy to get through it. And what a draw! What a draw!
We'll talk about the draw in a minute. You stick to the script, will you? What about Hamilton Accies knocking out Ross County? I thought Malky should have gone last year when he was hot.
Aye, well, quite. That's always the thing with managers. You probably find that Malky's okay with this. I mean, nobody would say it out loud, but the fact of the matter now, he knows what it's all about now. It's a league. He's got this frees up a bit of time. He'll be on the phone today, won't he? And with Roy McGregor and him trying to build up some sort of armoury for what's to come. It's all focus what they've got to do now. They've got to get up that league. No distractions, no accusations or lack of focus. Just got up the league, win league games. You know.
I think
I was surprised though, because Hamilton have not been great this season either.
No, absolutely not, and John Rankin deserves a bit of credit for pulling off that result. But Malky did mention the fact that it's very, very difficult, especially up at Dingwall, to try and keep rebuilding a side, losing players that can score you the goals, but obviously the experience as well. They got through. St Mirren scored 3 penalties without reply from Dundee. That's poor, isn't it, from your old club?
As I was up in Dundee yesterday and I was talking to a couple of Dundee fans who were at the game, and I think they thought that they would still be playing the day and no score. You know, 90 minutes, 30 minutes extra time, and then they've actually never seen them scoring a goal in the penalty shootout either. So desperate for Dundee. Obviously, you know, to hold a good St Mirren team, 2 hours of football, you know, if keeping a clean sheet is great, but at the other end they've got to be more clinical, and listen, they can concentrate now on trying to get out of that division. Yeah,
one of the best things about the whole weekend, Ruffy, and I must admit, fair play to the ball boy or whoever the security boy was who stuck his recorder on and just gave me, I don't know, it just filled me full of looking back at the 70s and the 80s, and it was great to hear Davy Martindale ripping into his side at half time.
Well, he is a 70s or 80s manager, isn't he? You know, he says it as he sees it. He's not frightened to who hears it, and he just lets it go. And I've been really interested to be in that dressing room, you know, when he says I gave them a wee few words, you know, that must have been absolutely, it certainly worked anyway, because the boy, is he on loan for Hearts, the boy? Is it the boy that scored the 2 goals for Livingston? Striker boy.
No, Bradley.
Brad.
No, he signed permanent. I was letting him go.
You were raging about that Friday.
I thought you'd mentioned him, but no, he took his goals well. Very good.
Yeah. So in the end, it worked, and fantastic. That's what you like to hear. I'd love to have see if the camera was in there. By the way, just somebody's filmed that inside the dressing room. It would be brilliant stuff, isn't it? Yeah. It is. It's a Neil Warnock.
You need that, but there's still room for that in modern day football. You can't you can't do it every game because they have no.
It doesn't.
You have no impression on the players if you keep doing it. But now and again, you know, Pep Guardiola against. Who they played? Tottenham at half time. You know, he came out at full time and was raging. So I think Pep Guardiola would have done the exact same at the very highest level to his players, except with less swear words.
Yes, absolutely. Some people say that a man who swears suffers from a lack of vocabulary, and then others say no, it's a sign of a superior intelligence. I don't know. Anyway,
hopefully it's the latter for me.
Who the F knows? Wait, you take a fly to yourself. Here's the draw for the 5th round, Ruffy. You were talking about it, so
there's
a few ones. Linlithgow Rose, Wraith Rovers, and then they'll know that they're going to play Motherwell. Inverness, Queen's Park will know that Livingston await, and then there's a complicated one there with Cove, Ayr United against Elgin or Drumchapel, and then Darvel, Aberdeen against Falkirk. But hey, Ruffy, you're going to Ibrox.
Yeah, I was hearing the Jerry Britton still skipping up and down Gaskib Road and up the Maryhill Road, wondering what this will turn out. It's a lot of money. Anytime you get Rangers or Celtic away from home, you've got the gate money, you've got TV money, you know what that involves, and I think you'll be talking about over 200,000 for the club, which is absolutely unbelievable. Be interesting to see if Colley dives into it. I hope he does. You know, other teams run about in the Championship are strengthening. He's not done anything yet, so I'm hoping they anticipate that the money that's coming in has to be spent for a bigger picture.
Yeah, of course. I mean, what's the cup shock there for you around all of those fixtures, Hugh?
Well, I was just thinking, see when the draw came through, I thought it was the dullest draw.
Yeah.
Of you know,
there's nothing that even Dundee United, Kilmarnock or Celtic, St Mirren, you're going.
Well, see, if they'd been, you know, if Celtic had to go to St Mirren, there's a story there. You can see that's the only time they've been beaten. If Rangers had to go to Firhill, you're thinking, God, back to the old days of Firhill for thrills. But I just think the way it's played out, I mean, the only thing you can say is that there's still certain games to be resolved, you know. I mean, and there's still a bit of romance in the cup. Drumchapel have still to play their game. Darvel tonight. But if you look at this game, if you're a television exec looking at this game today, you've got 4 games to pick. Viaplay have got 2 and BBC have got 2. So Viaplay will get the first 2. They're just going to go for Celtic Rangers at home, aren't they? And then if you're the BBC, what you're left with after
Hamonacky's Hearts.
Well, they'll take Dundee United Kilmarnock, surely.
Yeah, but that wouldn't be. It's not as if they're not going to be hanging for the rafters and that.
Is there a game where I think there could be a shock? I mean, I was delighted for Stephen Hamill and Motherwell for getting through, because boy did they need a result. But then you say to yourself, well, Raith Rovers would be the favourites to take out Linlithgow Rose. Then you're looking at Starks Park and thinking, game on.
Yeah, that could be one if Raith Rovers beat Linlithgow. Raith Rovers Motherwell, that could be a good game for the TV. But you're right, it wasn't. It's not a draw. There's no games that jump out. And you know, seeing Sean Maloney yesterday getting the numbers 6 and 9 mixed up, something that Ruffy would never do.
Yeah, absolutely. These things, Ruffy, you're always good at pulling out. I don't even know why I want to go there. I didn't want to. I could see the Frankie Howard line coming towards me there. Anyway, you'd be good in the draw, Ruffy.
A court was told last night.
No, you're right, Hugh. I agree with you 100%. It's just a situation where you're looking, you're saying to yourself, okay, nothing great in that 5th round, but you never know, we might get something that'll excite us by the time we get to quarters.
If Aberdeen beat Darvel, do they get Drumchapel? Am I missing
No,
that?
Falkirk.
Falkirk. Who's got Drumchapel?
Drumchapel is the double whammy with Elgin City, or Drumchapel will play Cove Air.
That's not much a thing for them, is it? Not a lot of
Listen,
money.
if Drumchapel get through this round, suddenly the whole team will be on an away trip in the summer, won't they?
Yep.
And that would be sensational to get to the next round.
Absolutely. I mean, getting to this round alone is terrific stuff. I mean, leaving Linlithgow Rose, I mean, I know they were desperate to get their game on Saturday, because that was a game I was going to go to.
Yeah.
And they're really playing well in that East of Scotland League. I think they're 5 or 6 points clear at the top of it, and they fancy their chances a wee bit against Raith Rovers. I didn't quite share that, because I think there's a bit of a gap still there, but yeah, they fancy that. I mean, I think that has invigorated the cup, you know, that sort of more relaxed pathway through for teams. The 3rd round proper.
Just before we give you details of our fantastic competition again, and we'll give you the answer to our quiz question at the top of the show, but I'm looking now at the results that happened over the weekend in the English Premier League. I mean, some people are actually thinking, wait a minute, Arsenal, they're looking the real deal now. Yeah,
they were beginning to wobble a wee bit at 2 each. You know, I think people were saying, well, that's 2 points lost, but the goal at the end there just reinforced that. Plus, they've got a game in hand. But for me, it's all about Man City. I can't wait to Man City play Arsenal. I don't know where it will be or when it is or anything like that. But certainly, you know, Newcastle for me, I think they'll be going for European football. I think they've got a wee chance, you know, if they hang on in there. But it's an exciting league with exciting players, isn't it? And you were kidding us on about that boy Haaland.
No,
He's not that good, is he?
No,
really?
I had to laugh about the Haaland stuff.
I'm talking about people having to adapt to him.
Somebody was saying, they're not as good a team with Haaland in it. And you're going, my God, he's Golden Boot winner. The new. He's not out of January yet. He's beat the Golden Boot.
Does anybody start to look at the back end of them? Does anybody start to look and say, well, if they're not up there, it's because they've not been able.
It's not him. I mean, Haaland will score if he keeps fit. Haaland will score 40 this season.
Yeah.
I did say that at the start of the season, by the way.
Yeah, I know you did 40. Actually. Full marks to you for.
He's not got them yet, right enough, but I think he will.
He's pretty close.
Well, I watched him with Dortmund, who weren't the best team in the league.
And the service he's getting in this team.
And with Dortmund, he was just unplayable with Dortmund. And you say to yourself, if he's going to go with players like De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva and Mahrez, Grealish, Foden, come on.
I know, exactly. It's the back line, I'm telling you. The reason why England didn't win the World Cup, you don't win it. You don't win it with Stones and Maguire.
You can't win you not win a top trophy with Maguire at centre half. I'm sorry, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Frank Lampard, no surprise he was sacked. And we have talked about obviously the Ange link and the stadium that's there, but in the end, it's becoming desperate, and I think they're even looking at the board. Let's not forget, by the way, their signing policy has been absolutely ridiculous. It's dismal. It's about £500 million they've spent, and a lot of those players just haven't stepped up to the plate.
They wasted so much money. And that's why it kind of annoys me when people say, for example, Newcastle, well, they've spent £200 million. But it doesn't matter, you've got to spend it wisely. Yeah. You could have £100 million and no spend it wisely. So I think that Newcastle, Everton, they've lost a lot of money in signing poor players, and Sean Dyche probably is the one he mentioned about. I think Wayne Rooney is another one. I think the fans.
I think Wayne Rooney's a great shout, and I think it's probably the circumstances are iffy for Wayne Rooney, because again, I'll go back to that point. They've got to be in the league this season, so they may. But anytime I've listened to Rooney, and I'm a real guy for not employing a good player as coach. I know sometimes it works. We know that. We've got Zidane, we've got Guardiola. Alex Ferguson wasn't a bad player. I mean, there's a big myth that Ferguson wasn't a player. Ferguson was a Scottish international. Played, good players can make good coaches. Yes, but the two things are not. It's not a seamless thing. But I think listening to Rooney, what he did at Derby under incredible circumstances. Yeah, I have to say, when you look at some of the managers down through years, Brian Clough was a good player. Yep, he was a brilliant player. Injury ended this because Matt Busby was a great player. Yeah, absolutely.
Did I notice the man of many clubs sitting on the bench at Man United the other day?
Go on then.
McLaren.
Steve McLaren. Yeah.
He's there, right? He's there.
Is there any clubs he's not been at?
Yeah, a drum chapel. It's coming.
He's helping with the Dutch speakers at the club.
He's just turning into Tam Cowan. He's thinking, I'll hang back to get my gag in, and that'll be me happy. Anyway, can they win the title, Arsenal?
They can, but no.
No? Still saying no?
I'm still staying no.
I'm still saying no. I'm saying
100% yes. We'll win the title this year, Arsenal. Yes.
Okay. Great stuff. We always like a wee bit of chat about that. What about the answer to the quiz question, which was basically the question was, which team finished second to Arsenal last time they won the English Premier League, Ruffy?
No, don't ask me. Ask somebody.
Man United.
I would say Man United.
Yeah, it was Chelsea.
Come on, you two. You get it right.
It was Chelsea. Anyway, we have to say well done to Andrew Taggart. I think his kids will be
they've been murdered if he never won it.
Absolutely flying. We'll let you get it in. There you are. Hey, there you are. I'll let you get it in because there's a couple of stiffs to the left hand side here. But Andrew Taggart has won the Match Attacks competition from last week. But this week, we just keep coming up with the goods, thanks to Gio Thompson, the artist, for this one.
PLZ Soccer has teamed up with one of Scotland's leading sports artists, Gio Thompson, to give you the chance to win the signed print of Celtic star Jota. To win with the chance of winning this fantastic prize, all you have to do is answer this simple question. Which country does Jota come from? Leave your answer in the comment section below, and to double your chances of winning, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Good luck.
Yeah, I actually got a lovely little message from Laurie, who was out in Fife, who won the... remember we offered him a Gio Thompson painting of whatever player that he wanted, and he picked Kenny Dalglish. Right. And I actually got it in the car, drove out to Fife to his house, and Laurie was absolutely ecstatic, Ruffy, and then at the end of it he said, come and I'll show you where I'm going to put it. And he put it in his man cave at the back of his garden, which was magnificent. So he sent us a picture today. I'll get it up for tomorrow's show off. He sent us a picture saying, here's the man cave, and there's the Kenny Dalglish canvas up, which is fantastic. And that will undoubtedly go in a man cave or on some or a boy or girl's wall.
Yeah, it certainly will. I think there'll be a few people as we speak. Well, we're trying to get their hands on that. I hope it's better than the one. We had another competition winner, remember, and we drove out to give them, it was a big painting, and we went into the house and the wife said, you're not putting that up there.
Absolutely. There are some people. Who are not in control in a house, Ruffy. To be perfectly honest with you, but the reason why I said, it'll make someone very, very happy. Little boys and girls who love their football and love Jota for what he does on the park. I have to tell you, there's more than a few who just like Jota for the way he looks. There's nothing worse than a really talented footballer playing for a high-profile club, and looks the business as well.
Yeah, as I said, he's not got much wrong, to be honest there. He's earning a few quid as well, but no, listen, we're just talking about it off air there, he's not in the team at Celtic at the minute. He's not started the season particularly well. He doesn't seem to be Ange's go-to at the minute, so he's got to get himself back in the team and get firing again, because he was brilliant in his first initial spell at Celtic.
Yeah, thanks for talking him down. What a chance for you to win a painting of a substitute. That's great. Well done. Anyway, good luck with the competition. I think you might get back in at some point. Anyway, thank you very much to everyone for their messages and entering the competition. Don't forget, if you hit the subscribe button, it doubles your chances as we put it all into the hat and pick out a lucky winner. You never know. You could be the man or woman, boy or girl, picking up that brilliant canvas. I think, Ruffy, would it be great? Will you come out with me this time?
Yes, most definitely, yeah.
Fantastic.
Brilliant.
Excellent.
If you're still here.
If you're still here. And on that note, thanks to you, thanks to Ruffy.
There'll be that boy behind you.
thanks to Tam McManus. Really optimistic day. By the way, can I just say to you, Ruffy is fine. It just wasn't feeling well, because these two will feel terrible if Ruffy doesn't make it to next week's competition. To everyone there, thanks for joining us.